Oh, sorry, I was just counting the amount of days it's been since Brighton won a football match. Brighton South London Fan TV here, Ali speaking to you, giving you my preview of Bournemouth v Palace at the Vitality Stadium. An absolutely massive game. Football is back, but more importantly, Palace is back in an encounter which could propel us into the fight for the European spots. With Sheffield United dropping points and Arsenal dropping points, a win would surely at least put us in that equation. Bournemouth, of course, fighting for their lives, 18th on goal difference. It won't be an easy game. They're not going to lie down and let us get those 3 points. They will have looked at this match and thought it's a game where they could get 3 points, valuable 3 points that could ultimately save them from the dreaded drop. A drop which no club wants to do at the moment with what's going on in the world and the financial implications. Obviously, the first thing to address with the game is there will be no fans at the stadium. How does that affect us? I think it will have a negative impact in some sense. Obviously, we're quite notoriously loud fans, even away from home. Often you'll hear Palace fans over the home fans. And that can sometimes spur our players on. But the players have been coming out with some really good sound bites in the media and on social media as well. So I'm really, really confident and hopeful that they're obviously going to represent the shirt really well, as they always do. And of course, we'll be supporting them from home. It will be strange, but it's great to have some sort of football back, of course. Thinking about the no crowd, there's one aspect of that I think will be really interesting for us in Wilfried Zaha. Now, over lockdown, I've seen many fans from opposing teams talking about Wilf, let's say, on social media. Watford, of course, Southampton fans even, Bournemouth fans as well. I saw a picture the other day of someone on a diving board. And the thing that makes me laugh is they always say that they're in Wilf's head, but they're spending their time talking about our player. I mean, we're not on social media talking about their players. So who's in whose head, you know? I mean, the obsession is quite sweet, really. It kind of reminds me of One Directioners when they used to spend their days on social media obsessing over One Direction. But I do think there is an interesting aspect to this in that as much as sometimes fans getting on Will's back can spur him on, and thinking about Bournemouth, there was the game where their fans were getting on his back and then he ran down the length of the pitch and made that great goal. But at the same time, sometimes you sort of get the feeling he can get a bit distracted, especially when decisions are going against him and the opposing fans are getting on his back. And it all sort of builds up in a crescendo. Maybe having no fans in the stadium might clear Will's head a bit, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. It can spur him on. I think what's really interesting with Wilf is I think a lot of players will suffer from the break. You saw that in the Aston Villa-Sheffield United game with the lack of fitness in the last 15, 20 minutes. But I think that might be a real opportunity for Wilf. He's a naturally fit guy. And I think the last 15, 20 minutes, having Wilfried Zaha running at you when you haven't played a football match for 3 months will be tough on the defenders. So that could be a real time for us to utilise his speed and his trickery. And also I'm thinking bringing in Andros Townsend in that equation. I'll come on to what my starting lineup would be in a moment, but I think off the bench, Townsend will be very, very useful. We've got 5 subs, so hopefully Roy's going to make some substitutions. So that's an interesting factor with the break is the fitness. And I think our quick players like Zaha, Townsend will really come into the equation in those last 15, 20 minutes and could make or break the game for us. Let's start thinking about the team selection then. And obviously the biggest selection problem we've got is Hennessy or Vicente Guaita. No, I'm just joking. Obviously Vicente in goal. The fullbacks kind of pick themselves. The defence is obviously one where we've got a bit of a dilemma. Tompkins and Schlupp were not involved against West Ham in the friendly at the London Stadium. So I'm kind of guessing that they won't be starting. So for me, the dilemma is with Sacco being back, do you put him straight back in? But obviously Scott Dann was playing quite well before lockdown and formed a good partnership with Gary Cahill. So it's a really, really tough one. I think with the amount of games we are going to have to play in such a short space of time, I think there's scope for obviously rotating the squad. So I would question whether Dan and Sacco could play 2 games in a week anyway, with the Liverpool game on the Wednesday. So I will stick Scott Dan in for this one if I was the manager. So I'll go with Scott Dan, keep that partnership with Tompkins going for the Bournemouth game, but with an eye on the Liverpool game, with Sacco's history with Liverpool and the sort of bad blood between him and Klopp in the past. We all remember that image of him when he was just on loan with us on the touchline, celebrating us scoring, and his added pace to deal with a Sané and Salah factor. I would go with Dan for Bournemouth and bring Sacco in for the Liverpool game. So against Bournemouth, I would start Dan, and I would start Cahill as our central defence partnership. Moving into the midfield, I would go with Kouyaté and James MacArthur. I think Kouyaté has had a good season. James MacArthur, for me, has had a really good season, and it's probably one of the first names on the team sheet. Mihajlovic or McCarthy. Now, Luka has not had the best season by his standards, and I think most Palace fans would agree with that. And McCarthy was starting to play well before lockdown, so that's a bit of a dilemma. I'm going to stick with Mihajlovic. I think he's got credit in the bank from previous seasons. With us restarting and the nature of the restart, I think it would be good to have our captain out there. So I'm going to go with Luka. But again, looking ahead to the Liverpool game, McCarthy being a previous Everton player and that kind of history would probably be really up for that one. And again, possibly bringing fresher legs in for that one. But I'll stick with Mihajlovic for the Bournemouth game. So that's a central midfield of Mihajlovic, MacArthur and Kouyaté. Front three, I'm going to stick with the front three that was working well, I think, before lockdown. Zaha and Jordan Ayew and Benteke were starting to form a real link and a real connection together. Obviously, we saw that goal against Brighton, and they continued that against Watford at home in our game just before lockdown as well. So front three of Zaha, Benteke and Jordan Ayew. If you disagree with my big calls of Dan in for this one over Sacco, of Mihajlovic over McCarthy, comment in the section below. Looking at the Bournemouth team, looking at who their key player will be, and every week in my previews, I'm going to be looking at a key player of the opposition. It's not Ryan Fraser. Ryan Fraser this week coming out saying that he won't be playing for Bournemouth beyond June. We've been linked with Ryan Fraser. I've got to be honest, it puts me right off. I think this is a time where footballers have really shone. Just this week, Marcus Rashford and what he's done. And this is a real opportunity. And if someone doesn't want to play because of fears of safety, that's fair enough. But it's pretty clear that Ryan Fraser is refusing to carry on for Bournemouth because he wants his move in the summer. And this is a real chance. Every single community in England has been affected by COVID-19. And football can bring some joy to those community and the fans of those clubs over the next few months now. And a real opportunity, I think, and for players to do that. And Ryan Fraser, I think it's poor form, and I actually show solidarity with Bournemouth fans here. I feel very, very sorry for them. It's for me quite a big act of treachery, probably one of the biggest acts of treachery I've seen since Posh refused to do the Spice Girl reunion tour. So I would question now whether Palace, if we are, who knows if the links are true, if we are linked with Ryan Fraser, I'd question that move, whether you want that attitude in your dressing room. We're renowned for having a good spirit in our dressing room. Do you want that sort of character in your team? Who is Bournemouth's key player then? Well, I'm going to go for David Brooks, a young Welshman, highly rated by Ryan Giggs. I think our fullbacks will have to be on top of their game. And that's interesting. A lot of teams are benefiting in a way in having this break because they have injured players coming back, thinking about Tottenham and Harry Kane. And I know within the Bournemouth camp, the sound bites coming out is that they see this as a massive plus in their fight against relegation, David Brooks being back. So they also have a clean bill of health on the whole. It's just Billings coming back with a late fitness test. I know Eddie Howe was talking this week about some defenders returning to fitness. So they're feeling confident going into this game, which leads me to my prediction. I'm going to go quite conservative on this one. Having watched Villa Sheffield United, they both looked a bit rusty. I think Bournemouth are going to have to come at us at some point. I think they will have identified this game as one where they could potentially get 3 points. So they will come at us. And I think that will sort of suit us in a way because we can get them on the break with Wilf and Jordan Ayew, and even Benteke, who was linking up well before lockdown. I'm going to go for 1-1. So quite conservative on my first prediction. I'll be doing my predictions every week. If you disagree with my prediction, or you disagree with my key man that I picked out from Bournemouth, or my team selection, like I said, let me know in the comment section below. So I've gone with a 1-1 draw. David Brooks is the key man for Bournemouth. I've gone with Dan over Sacco. I've gone with Mihalovic over McCarthy. And I'm sticking with the same front three. Let's hope that they prove me wrong and get 3 points, as it would be a fantastic start to this restart, so to speak. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I've been quite cautious and pessimistic about our chances of getting into Europe. I've doubted whether we've quite got enough, but a win here, you'd have to talk about us in it, with Sheffield United and Arsenal dropping points. And who knows, you know, we were hitting some form before lockdown. Obviously, form goes a bit out the window now. But who knows with football, and definitely who knows with Palace, how Palace would it be for us to qualify for Europe when potentially we might not even as fans be able to travel. So here's hoping for 3 points. Like I said, if you disagree with anything I've said, that's fine. Comment in the comment sections below. If you've enjoyed this video, there's other videos on my channel. Wilfried Zaha, Man United flop, exposing the myth, got quite a good reaction, interesting reactions on that one. So please feel free to press the subscribe button as well. Next time I see you will be the post-match review. Let's hope that we are buzzing with 3 points. See you next time.